The APEC International Media Center undergoes final touches. Chilean carvers begin masterpiece at Ella Beach. And Papua War Canoe arrives in Lae on its way to Milne Bay.
This is the National EMTV News with Mary Bartulo.
A very good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Sunday's news. The APEC International Media Center is undergoing its final stages of construction work before it's fully serviceable for the world media. The constructors and technicians are finishing off with the final touches before the center is fully functional to serve the world media during the APEC Leaders Week.
The Tauranga Indoor Aquatic Center will accommodate the world media during the APEC Leaders Week. The International Media Center was built inside the state-of-the-art Indoor Aquatic Center, which hosted the indoor and pool events during the 2015 Pacific Games. The center will manage all media activities run by domestic and foreign reporters during the APEC Leaders Week. It will also provide information about the APEC Summit's activities, services for professional activities of reporters, and deal with media requirements. At this stage, contractors and technicians are working around the clock to have the center fully operational before the Leaders Week swing into action. The project covers areas including International Media Center, parking lots, and technical infrastructure facilities. Pictured is the press conference room still under construction that can accommodate more than 1,000 reporters. It includes service areas for staff members and technicians. In addition to the working area, there will also be food and beverage service area, a health clinic, a prayer room, a post and telecommunication counter, a bank service counter, a tourist information counter, and a counter for media services. Once completed, the center will open around the clock, with volunteers serving domestic and foreign reporters during the Leaders Week, which begins on Monday. Shane Saroya, National EMTV News.
The National Airports Corporation is confident the VIP Leaders Terminal will be ready. In total, the newly built terminal, the refurbished 200-meter parking and taxi bay, cost 65 million kina. NAC Managing Director Richard Yopo said the refurbishment was long overdue for NAC to meet international accepted airport standards.
Construction began in August this year. The VIP terminal, purposely built for the APEC 21 leaders and CEOs who will be travelling to Port Moresby in their private aircrafts. The refurbished runway will be able to park 6 Boeing 737, while the main terminal will be able to park 4 737s.
Currently, as you see, we've done the work in 2 stages. This stage is the apron facility. That's 100% complete, designed, engineered, and completed by PNG engineers. It's been done, so it's a good thing. You know, APEC has brought this about, and we've actually managed to improve the capacity of our people as well, and it's something that we've done. So our forefathers did it, and the sons and daughters actually improved the standard.
The 200-meter parking and taxi bay refurbishment was crucial for NAC. It had to comply to international civil aviation standards.
The upgrading of the apron, the runways are all part of that process. And APEC has given us this additional financial support that has seen the delivery of the new aprons that we've done, the runways that has been done. And that's an important asset for the country.
Meanwhile, the private terminal will also allow APEC PNG to have traditional performances to welcome the 21 APEC leaders.
Be getting off the plane right here on this tarmac, where they'll be welcomed with a true cultural, traditional experience. They'll be telecast to the world. And from there, this will be their first image or their first look at what Papua New Guinea is as soon as they get off the plane.
While China will be the only economy using the main Jackson's VIP terminal, NAC says that by November 17th, the VIP terminal will be one site aircraft enthusiasts will not want to miss. Adelaide Sirks Kari, National EMTV News.
PNG's 2 airline companies have been asked by the National Airports Corporation to reschedule their usual flights routes during the 2-day Leader Summit. NAC Managing Director Richard Yopo said that due to international traffic coming into Jackson's airport, NAC had asked PNG Air and Air New Guinea to cancel flight routes they usually visit more than twice in a day and limit to 2 times for the 17th, 18th and 19th of November. Normal flight routes should resume after the 19th. Certain routes in Port Moresby will be restricted to the public beginning this week. The restricted areas include certain areas at the waterfront and on land. The Joint Security Task Force has identified restricted areas to ensure the safety and security of visitors and delegates during the APEC Leaders Week. Rayon Lakingu reports on where Port Moresby residents should avoid in the coming days to avoid traffic.
Road movement within Port Moresby will be disrupted during the Leaders Summit as the leaders begin to arrive for the APEC Leaders Week. Public access in the immediate vicinity of the meeting venues will be closed to the public. Restricted areas from the town area include APEC House, Ella Beach Hotel, Grand Papua Hotel, Crown Plaza and Seyubet Mari Stadium. At the Waigani area, the restricted areas include Sir John Guy Stadium, the Stanley Hotel, Laguna Hotel, Sanctuary Hotel, Laguna Hotel, Dream Inn, Hilton Hotel, Morata House, Mirigini House and the International Convention Center. Restricted areas at the Boroko area include Caritas Technical School, Taurama Aquatic Center and the Rita Flynn Courts. The primary route, which will be taken by the visiting delegates, is from the Jackson's International Airport to the APEC House. I am standing at the new Tokorarap June Valley route. This route, including Independence Drive, Somaret Drive and Lowest Road, will be on lockdown 30 minutes before the motorcade convoy and open straight after the motorcade for public to use. Any unauthorized personnel or vehicle found within the vicinity of the restricted area will be stopped, searched and arrested. Police Commissioner and Joint Security Task Force Commander Gary Bucky explained that these areas will be closed down to allow safe passage of the VIP motorcades. He said no shops will be closed and the public are free to move around.
There will be no shops closed. All right? There will be no shops closed. So members of the public can still go out to buy food in whichever shops as long as they are aware of the fact that the route that they were taking, if it's going to be closed down, they must make sure they don't use it within the 30 minutes before. All right? Or they will find themselves being told to wave off on the road. So that's basically what it is.
Several hotels will be used to accommodate the visiting guests during the APEC Leaders Week. These hotels include the newly built Hilton Hotel, Laguna Hotel, Stanley Lamana Hotel, Holiday Inn, Grand Papua, Ella Beach Hotel, Crown Plaza, Gateway and Airways Hotel. These hotels will also be restricted to the public to use. Rayon Lakingu, National EMTV News.
Themed A Taste of Culture, Dynasty Restaurant hosted a food festival depicting food from all 21 APEC economic countries. In line with the event, the restaurant will donate some of the funds raised in its community obligation to the Tambari Children's Care.
Food lovers today filled Dynasty Restaurant at Vision City to capacity, tasting food from all 21 APEC countries that were cooked by local food outlets at Vision City. The food galore saw children, including parents, all savor the flavors. Foods available on display were from USA, PNG, Malaysia, China, Japan, Republic of Korea, Vietnam, and others.
Only the dishes that they will make, but maybe some of the restaurant will get these dishes and then included in their menu. So it's the best time for them to make known the restaurant.
Host of the event, Dynasty Restaurant, says funds generated from the event will go towards the Tambari Children's Care.
For this kind of event, it's not like we are getting like a lot of profit. Our purpose is for the charity. So the Tambari Children's Care was chosen by the committee, and then so the proceeds will go to them.
Founder and director of Tambari Children's Care, who looks after children from as young as 5 to 16 years of age, says funds that are received as donations are used to buy clothes and school materials for the children.
Operating or running education as one of the important things which we are running now, and also the nutrition, which we do feed children every day.
With a massive turnout today, Dynasty restaurant manager Nelma Goose says, considering today's turnout, they are already planning to make the food festival an annual event. More people are encouraged to turn up tomorrow to taste, buy and enjoy the entertainment by Timbari Children's Care Group, as funds raised will go towards charity. Godwin Eki, National EMTV News.
The delegation arriving for the APEC Leaders and CEOs Summit will be accommodated on one of 3 luxury cruise liners. The P&O Pacific Jewel will host participants from different 21 APEC member economies as well as international media.
Upon its arrival yesterday, the P&O Pacific Jewel has already taken in some of the participants of the APEC Summit. The cruise liner was chartered by Australia to assist in providing world-class accommodation and meeting venue for the major event. Minister for APEC, Justin Tchenko, said the Pacific Jewel will accommodate participants, including the international media. The media personnel alone is 2,000 plus.
And the first cruise ship has arrived, which is already taking on the participants of the CEO Summit and of the APEC leaders meetings as well. This boat will be filled from all the different economies, from the 21 leading economies of the world. On this boat particularly, as well as the media, will be also housed on the Pacific Jewel as well.
Carnival Australia, the cruise liners company, has also chartered 3 other ships to assist PNG in providing accommodation for the APEC delegates. The 2 other P&O cruise ships, which are yet to arrive in Port Moresby in the coming days, include the Pacific Explorer as well as the Sea Princess.
This is the first cruise liner to arrive. The second one will be arriving in the next couple of days, which will host and hold on it the CEO Summit. And then from there, the other one will follow day after and be parked at Motukea.
Meanwhile, the 3 ships will be stationed at the Fairfax Harbour and surrounding waters within the APEC Maritime Security Zones. Participants, upon their arrival on the cruise ships, will be electronically registered through a unique face recognition system. Elizabeth Guka, National EMTV News.
The popular Ella Beach in Port Moresby was a hive of activity today, just days away from the start of the final APEC Leaders Week. Among the hustle and bustle, 2 Chilean carvers working on a masterpiece that will be displayed later this week. Chile is host of APEC in 2019. Ella Beach was a popular spot for Port Moresby city residents today. Among the busyness, 2 Chilean carvers working on something special, a totem that will be unveiled this week during the final week of APEC meetings. Starting at around 10 a.m. this morning, the 2 carvers wooed the crowd with their carving skills, using chainsaws to carve out the initial pieces from a large chunk of wood. With Chile, the next host of APEC, these 2 gentlemen were flown in to produce something special for PNG to signify the handover of APEC meeting responsibilities to their country. Work on their masterpiece will be completed by Tuesday and handed over to PNG to place at a site that is yet to be confirmed. Closer to APEC House, members of the Joint Securities Task Force were cordoning off the area in preparation for the commencement of official engagements for this final week of APEC meetings. The area close to APEC House will be restricted for the next week, with security expected to be on a level not yet witnessed in Papua New Guinea's history. Here with National EMTV News this Sunday, Papua War Canoe from West Papua sails into Vocal Point on its way to the Canoe and Kundu Festival in Milne Bay. We'll have that story and more after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to National EMTV News. Lay's Vocal Point came alive today with festivities as the community gathered to welcome the Wairon, a double-hulled canoe that began its journey on the island of Biak in West Papua. The canoe and its journey is a celebration of the many cultures of Papua New Guinea and West Papua.
The lay community gathered as early as 9 a.m. at Voko Point. And the festivities began well before the Wairon sailed into the harbour. This was a celebration of the many cultures of the island of New Guinea, a land cut in half and then divided between the Dutch, the British and the Germans, who all claimed it as their territories. At about midday, the crew of the Wairon brought the canoe into Voko Point. Today, this was a demonstration that there may be political boundaries separating countries, but the people remain as one. For musician Irileke Ingram, this journey has been an emotional one for many of the crew members.
As an artist, we sing about Sorong to Samurai, and it's something that we feel deep within ourselves, that we are one with West Papua and Papua New Guinea, Sorong to Samurai. But today, it actually is coming to life.
The canoe was built on the island of Biak in West Papua. This symbolic journey from Sorong on the tip of West Papua to Samurai on the tip of Papua New Guinea represents this unity of peoples.
We hear of a lot of the issues over in West Papua, the human rights issues and the struggle for freedom of the West Papuan people. And I think it's important for us to keep talking to each other.
For Rosa Maiwen, this journey has brought to light the diversity that should be embraced and the unity that should be celebrated.
This is part of the history of West Papua and Papua New Guinea. Like, we live on the same ground, but we are separated for so long. And the journey of the Wairon, it's actually kind of reconnect us back. So we kind of tracking back the history of our ancestors.
Scott Waide, National EMTV News, Lay.
A clan in Huon Gulf district of Milne Bay province launched the first landowner waste recycling company yesterday. The Ninitz family from Mare village established the company in March to help recycle plastic and other wastes.
More than 300 people from Mare village gathered to witness the launching of Need Waste Services Company.
You must recycle.
General Manager Walter Daniel said the company aims to provide employment for locals and provide opportunities for cleaner environments.
There are 3 or 4 waste management companies in Pom, nothing in Ley. And basically being the Ley industrial hub, we have industries, Trukai, Nestle.
With prior experience with waste management, Mr. Daniel started a company to help reduce waste. Mr. Daniel said with Ley being the industrial hub for Papua New Guinea, there's a need for proper waste disposal.
Ley basically used to be green Ley, it's no longer green Ley, it's colorful Ley with a little rubbish. And basically what we're trying to do is basically come in and where we can help make sure we bring the original color of Ley that it used to be before.
So this waste management facility,
the Managing Director for Pacifica Eagles Chemical Limited, Peter Auer, said he will support Need Waste Services with help from government protocols.
Okay, there are many challenges ahead, like you need to meet up to the compliance, you will have to comply to conventions that Papua New Guinea is party to.
Like Mr. Auer urged the national and provincial governments to support such companies. Mary Boyonigani, National EMTV News, Ley.
Air New Guinea's Fokker 70 jet aircraft P2ANR is now back in operation following the successful completion of the in-house C-check or heavy maintenance check at the airline's engineering hangar in Port Moresby. The aircraft is the first to have a C-check done in-house. Air New Guinea's newly appointed Managing Director, Alan Milne, acknowledged the engineering team and the staff involved, saving the company millions of kina. A C-check is the most in-depth type of maintenance that can be carried out on an aircraft. Mr. Milne said Air New Guinea may consider doing C-checks for other PNG-based airlines or other airline operators within this region. During the 6th graduation of Enga Teachers College on Friday, Principal Michael Homingu stressed for secondary and tertiary schools to maintain high academic standards. Homingu says to maintain standards, students must be selected through the right channels and not through backdoor deals. The graduates were told to be self-disciplined when entering the workforce.
School Principal Michael Homingu, who has been teaching for over 20 years, has seen a new trend of critical issue creeping in schools in the country. Homingu says many students with low grades are somehow selected to continue studies in secondary schools and tertiary institutions. Homingu is concerned academic standards in the country will not be maintained if schools continue to compromise.
PNG literacy and numeracy rate is much lower than the small, tiny Pacific Island nations.
A long-time academic and the school chairman of Enga Teachers College, Panjore Pilio, supported the school principal's call and told parents that the school is maintaining its objective and aim to emphasize on standard and quality teacher training. Pilio says compromising academic standards have resulted in secondary and tertiary school students low literacy and numeracy skills.
Enga Teachers College is focused on bringing and fostering expertise, knowledge, and new perspectives to teacher training, to the many challenges faced by the education department, faced by the people of Papua New Guinea, faced by the school system.
Meanwhile, the guest of honor, Public Service Minister Elias Kapavore, urged the graduates to improve the standards of public service by self-discipline and serve students with their hearts. Minister Kapavore says public service standards will improve if public servants are punctual and have a strong work ethic.
Non-performance is a serious disciplinary offense in the public service. It demands termination. In the next couple of weeks, you will hear or you'll see in the newspapers some departmental heads, we have terminated them because of non-performance.
Enga Governor Sir Peter Ipata said he will continue to put in more resources into education in the province to develop the best human resources in the country. Sir Peter says he will continue to focus in education and will not change his policy. Governor says there will be zero tolerance of nepotism or one-talk system throughout schools in Enga province so that Enga produces the best in the country and the region.
People are developing human resource, manpower along this country. You look stuff.
Enga Teachers College has so far graduated more than 700 primary and elementary teachers who are currently teaching in schools in the province. Starting 2020, the college will be introducing its first bachelor class. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News, Mount Hagen.
Despite the economy showing signs of slight improvement, the Institute of National Affairs has cautioned the national government to ensure that the taxation burden is not borne by workers in the workforce alone. When speaking to MTV News, INA Executive Director Paul Barker has advised for government to consider easing the tax burden on the working class, who he believes have been overburdened with tax unfairly. An option that could be considered would be to slightly increase goods and services tax, which may prove unpopular in the immediate future.
Higher-end taxpayers and businesses maybe are allowed to have some sort of relief on their level of taxation, and some of the lower formal sector, employees also have their threshold of tax reduced and their burden reduced, so that you can actually broaden the embrace of taxation through perhaps other means, including GST. So although GST is a regressive form of tax, it's sort of, it imposes taxes on lower income earners. Nevertheless, there are quite a lot of people who should be paying some level of tax and are getting quite a good income, but are not embraced by the taxation system. So trying to embrace them to some extent is going to be something the government's going to have to do.
Transparency International Papua New Guinea has offered 3 law students from the University of PNG a chance to participate in their legal internship program. Final year students Hezron Wangi Jr. and Salome Bamla and third year student Eroni Lily will be engaged in the areas of policy, research and legal advocacy. Their participation has made possible through a partnership between TIPNG and the UPNG Law School. They began their 13-week internship this week and will continue until February next year. You're watching National MTV News this Sunday. We go for a break, and when we come back, we take a look at stories making headlines overseas. Welcome back to the news. Turning overseas now, conjoined twins from Britain have been successfully separated by a team of doctors in Melbourne in a 6-hour operation. The 15-month-old girls were joined at the stomach and shared a liver.
In the end, it took 6 hours for Nima and Dawa to be separated in the operating theatre. The medical team at the Royal Children's Hospital began the surgery quietly confident. By late this afternoon, the 25-member team emerged smiling.
The first thing I'd like to say is through this journey, we've learnt that Bhutan is certainly the land of happiness, but I was very pleased to report today it wasn't the land of surprises.
Joined at the torso, the girls underwent an anaesthetic before 9 o'clock this morning. Outside the surgery room, the twins' mother waited, calm but on edge, followed by sheer relief when it was mission accomplished.
Mum is very relieved. I've just found out that she was very stressed today, so it has been a very difficult day for her.
The operation could have lasted well into the evening, but it was only once surgery started the team was able to determine the potential complexities of a shared liver wasn't as serious as first thought.
We are here earlier because there weren't any things inside the girls' tummies that we weren't already prepared for.
The journey to separate the 15-month-old sisters has been long. Adding 2 extra kilograms of weight put the sisters in good stead after surgery was initially delayed.
We saw 2 young girls who were very ready for their surgery, who were able to cope very well with the surgery and are currently in our recovery doing very well.
It'll no doubt be an adjustment for the family from Bhutan. For the first time in their young lives, the twins will be sleeping in their own beds.
New video and details are emerging about Friday's knife attack in the heart of Melbourne. There's been an outpouring of grief for the well-known restaurant owner who was stabbed to death when he tried to help.
Flowers and tributes for a well-known and loved local restaurateur, Sisto Muluspina.
Such a sad day in Melbourne for somebody like Sisto, who was the happiest person you could ever imagine.
This is just absolutely devastating. I mean, he's the heart and soul of this city.
The 74-year-old was walking back to Pellegrini's restaurant when he saw a ute on fire. He stopped to help, but was instead stabbed to death.
Always had a smile. It's a big part of my life has gone.
Politicians and celebrities are among those paying tribute. Russell Crowe tweeting, "I've been going to Pellegrini since 1987. Never been to Melbourne without dropping in on my man Sisto, my sweet, loyal friend, stabbed in the street by a madman." That man was Hassan Sharif Shire Ali. Police believe he had tried to detonate gas cylinders in the back of his ute, but failed. Instead, the greatest threat was from his frenzied knife attack.
So clearly a terrorism act, the motivation is to cause terror and cause maximum casualties.
Among those victims was the security guard. New video shows him being stabbed and trying to run away. He was one of 3 people injured, and as Shire Ali lunged at people on the street, a man believed to be homeless and now being called a hero tried to intervene with a shopping trolley. The knife attack didn't stop until police shot Shire Ali in the chest. He later died in hospital. His home is now being searched, and police have revealed he'd been influenced by ISIS and had been on their counter-terrorism watch list for years. They're now investigating how and where he started on his path to radicalisation.
The fire-ravaged Californian town of Paradise is reeling tonight after news of more bodies found in burnt-out cars and homes. The death toll there is now 23.
Living in Malibu means you've made it, but no amount of wealth or fame can stop a fire like this. The blaze was propelled to the Pacific Ocean by strong desert winds, forcing thousands to flee.
I saw the flames coming over the mountain right next to our house, and I felt them burning, the embers, and I knew that I had to get out.
We pretty much just had enough time to get the dogs in the truck.
Kim Kardashian and Lady Gaga were among 250,000 Californians who had to leave their homes. But nowhere was the pain more acute than in Thousand Oaks, where Michelle Musseter lost her home.
There was a house that they took all the motorcycles out, but the house made it. So I was just coming up the street to see my neighbors, and I didn't realize my house gone too.
For a town reeling from a mass shooting in a bar this week, it was too much to bear.
Just 48 hours ago, our city experienced a tragedy that
had national implications with the mass shooting and the loss of life of 13 individuals. And here we are just a few hours later, now talking about another crisis right here in Thousand Oaks.
500 miles north, Paradise is suffering too. These abandoned cars give just a hint of the terror as people fled.
For block after block, this is all that remains of Paradise. And you can tell that the fire burned with an intense ferocity because very little of what lies in these charred remains is recognisable.
President Trump declared a state of emergency, freeing up resources to help. Then he blamed California's poor forest management and threatened to withhold funding from the state. Here, though, politics may have to wait. The crisis isn't over. Paradise is hell.
Here with National EMTV News this Sunday, we go for a break and be back with some sporting updates in Trukai Sports. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. We begin with Rugby Union overseas first, and both the New Zealand and England coaches were happy with the result of this morning's tight tussle between the All Blacks and England. The 16-15 win could easily have been a loss for the All Blacks were it not for a controversial late officiating call.
The England dominance started before the whistle had even been blown. And just 2 minutes in, they drowned out the All Blacks on the field, finding Chris Ashton out wide. England continued to build pressure. They hadn't beaten New Zealand in 6 years, and they were going to steamroll anyone who stood in their way. Half-time looming, the All Blacks finally seemed to realise they were down by 15 points. From a penalty, Kieran Reid backed his men with a scrum, and a couple of phases later, Damien McKenzie rewarded him with a try.
McKenzie scores! The timing and the pace that he hit it in, that's what caught the defenders out.
The character of the men to turn that around in that short space of time and get some points before half-time were crucial for us.
After the break, Beauden Barrett showed off a little something he's been practising since the Wellington fiasco.
And it is over. Drops a goal in a test match for the very first time.
Suddenly, 15-0 was 15-16. England were now the ones under pressure, but their response was brilliant. But there was more drama to come. A video review showed Courtney Laws was offside before the charge down. The try was overturned.
It's a big call, no try.
There's no doubt he's offside. He's just about in the halfback's back pocket.
Well, sometimes the game loves you and sometimes the game doesn't love you.
But Eddie Jones is still smiling.
It's a really good step forward because you benchmark yourself against New Zealand.
And why wouldn't you? A team who seem to almost always find a way to win, no matter what.
Meanwhile, South Africa, who lost to England last week, pulled off a great escape when they took on France this time around.
How tense is this situation?
It screamed déjà vu for the Springboks. Down by a couple of points as the clock stretched even further into extra time, and a second straight defeat looked on the cards.
Is that a forward pass? I'm not too sure. But there it is, it's blatant.
Only this time luck was on their side. Back for a penalty advantage that saw them kick to the corner before a trademark Springbok maul crashed over the line. A scrappy 29-26 win may not have completely pleased coach Rassie Erasmus, but it's yet another test in the bag for a Springbok side that's quietly stringing together some effective, if not always attractive, performances. Meanwhile, world number 2 Ireland did their bit to build anticipation to next week's clash with the All Blacks, although Joe Schmidt's side will have plenty of work-ons, after an error-strewn first half saw them come from behind to beat the Pumas 28-17. Worryingly for Schmidt, another injury setback for loose forward Sean O'Brien, who will undergo surgery for a broken arm and will almost certainly miss next week's clash. And it may not have been one for the neutrals, but Welsh fans won't care one bit as they broke a 13-game losing streak to Australia in Cardiff. In a tryless encounter, first five Dan Biggar's penalty gave them the lead with just minutes to go. Wales held on 9-6. With both teams sharing the same group at next year's World Cup, Warren Gatland couldn't have asked for a better time to get that monkey off their backs.
We go for a break and be back with more of Trukai Sports after these messages. Don't go away.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. PNG national women's rugby team ICTSI Palais finished fourth at the Oceania Sevens after losing to Fiji. First-time coach at this international level, Paul Chechens, was pleased with the team's overall performance.
PNG, they win this game.
After successfully qualifying to play in the Rugby World Cup San Francisco 2018, the ICTSI South Pacific Palais have every right to be content again with their overall performance at this year's Oceania Sevens tournament in Suva, Fiji.
She is in, and it will be a hat-trick for Gemma.
With the Fijian women's team taking out third place over Papua New Guinea, the ICTSI South Pacific Palais have done it once again, qualified to be in the 2019 and 2020 HSBC World 7 Series qualification tournament.
Rapila Vitania, and here's another run-in for Papua New Guinea, but this time it's the prop forward, Lynette Henry Kwarula.
This means the ICTSI Palais team has made it to the Sydney and Hamilton leg of the HSBC World 7 Series and also qualifying for the Hong Kong 2019 and 2020 HSBC World 7 Series qualification tournament after their third and fourth place playoff against the Fiji Airways Sevens team. Coaching the PNG women's team at his first international Sevens tournament, Paul Chechens said that their goal was to qualify for the Sevens for the Sydney Sevens and HSBC Series qualifier in Hong Kong. With this win at their hand, the next few months will be even busier for the team under the guidance of the new coach. The HSBC World 7 Series for the team will begin first with Sydney and Hamilton leg of 7 Series, followed by the HSBC Hong Kong Sevens tournament, which is a qualifying event for the World 7 Series.
Just a fantastic run.
He says there's been a lot to learn from the tough games that the team has played this weekend, and it is also looking very promising moving forward for the girls to have an opportunity for qualifying on the circuit.
To spare for Papua New Guinea, will they need the players outside? No, she won't. And that.
Paul says the main aim of the team will be to qualify and finish at top 8 in order to get the team into the World 7 Series, where the team will have the opportunity of a lifetime representing PNG by travelling, playing Sevens tournament around the world and at the same time getting paid by World Rugby.
Throw it out to the right and they will score.
Godwin Eki, National EMTV Sports.
The two-day 2018 Oceania Sevens tournament ended yesterday in Fiji. The tournament was aired live on EMTV over 2 days, but it was not a successful tournament for the Papua New Guinea men's team, the Puk-Puks, who finished 7th.
PNG off the line and they opt to move it out.
The Papua New Guinean men's Sevens team could not finish in the top 6 this year to earn an opportunity to attend the Hong Kong leg of the World HSBC World 7 Series qualifiers, where teams in the qualifiers tournament have a chance to make it into the 2019-2020 HSBC World 7 Series. The men's team could only manage 2 wins in the 2018 Oceania Sevens tournament out of 5 games. PNG defeated neighbour Solomon Islands 37-0 but went down to hosts Fiji 35-0. This was in the group stages, where Fiji, PNG and Solomon Islands were in Pool A. PNG finished second in Pool A and went into the Cup qualifiers but lost to New Zealand 47-0. PNG then lost again to Tonga for the 5th place position in a close game, 17 points to 14, but managed to finish 7th against New Caledonia, beating them 28-12.
And he will certainly level scores.
The Tongan men's team came away with a sweet victory over the Cook Islands at 5th place, qualifying them for the Hamilton, Sydney and Hong Kong leg of the World Rugby HSBC World 7 Series. The Cook Islands men's team also have qualified for the Hong Kong leg of the HSBC World 7 Series. But there was more success for the women's sevens team, the Palais. The PNG women's team has made it to the Sydney and Hamilton leg of the HSBC World 7 Series and also qualifying for the Hong Kong 2019-2020 HSBC World 7 Series qualification tournament. The Palais defeated Samoa 19 points to 17, beat Nauru 36-0, but went down to Australia 31-0 on the first day of the two-day tournament. The Palais finished second in their pool but lost to New Zealand in the Cup semi-finals, later on going down to Fiji 33 points to 5. Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
With an electric atmosphere and warranted expectation, the Fiji Airways men's sevens team rose to the occasion and brought their fans to the edge of the seats, despite the effort put in by the All Blacks sevens team to stop them.
The Fiji Airways Fiji men's sevens team successfully defended the title at the ANZ Stadium in Suva, Fiji, and remain the Oceania Rugby Sevens champions after defeating the All Black Sevens team in a thriller 17 points to 12 in sudden death.
Meter line by Kurunambuli again, and it breaks away for the first try as well.
Fiji is currently ranked second in the HSBC World 7 Series, just behind South Africa. Fiji scored a total of 135 points in the Oceania Rugby Sevens tournament in their 5 games, only conceding 19 points, beating Solomon Islands 47-0, Papua New Guinea 35-0, New Caledonia 38-0, Samoa 36-7 and New Zealand 17-12. In the final match, the teams look evenly matched, but with the home crowd behind them and the Rangers clearing for the pinnacle event, the wins were in the favour of the home team as they denied New Zealand, the current Rugby World Cup Sevens and Commonwealth Game champions, a win in Fiji. Fidelis Sukina, National EMTV Sports.
And that's how we end Trukai Sports this evening. We go for a break and be back with the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports. Trukai Sports.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
A look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours in the southern region. Partly cloudy for Kerama and Popondetla, mostly sunny for Alota and Daru, fine and sunny for Port Moresby. To the Momase region, showers expected in Lae and Wau, rain and showers as well for Madang, Wewak and Vanimo. To the New Guinea Islands region, partly cloudy in Loranga over the next 24 hours, showers expected in Kavieng, Kokopo and Rabaul, some cloudy weather in Kimbe and showers and thunderstorms in Buka. In the Highlands region, Mount Hagen can expect some fog over the next 24 hours developing with some cloudy weather with a top of 25 degrees, 15 degrees in Chile in Goroka with a shower or two, 25 degrees for Kundiawa with a shower or two expected over the next 24 hours, a shower or two as well, and 24 degrees for Mendi and Wabeg.
The weather details were proudly brought to you by Dulux, celebrating 50 years in PNG and the only paint made in PNG.
And that's a news sport and weather for today, Sunday the 11th of November 2018. On behalf of the EMTV News team, have a safe working week. Good night.